For the first time, microplastic contamination has been detected stuck deep inside the lungs of live individuals. As a consequence of human plastic waste, microscopic plastic particles are discharged into the environment, causing microplastics to accumulate in the ecosystem. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration of the United States, these particles may be found in a variety of sizes and shapes. However, they are typically regarded to be microplastics if they are smaller than 5 millimeters. Microplastics may be formed when bigger pieces of plastic trash deteriorate and break down into tiny fragments. These contaminants may also be discharged into the environment in the form of microbeads, which are tiny fragments of plastic that have been purposefully made small in order to be used as exfoliants in health and beauty products. It was discovered for the first time in March 2022 that microplastics were present in human blood, demonstrating that the particles may travel throughout the body and get lodged in organs. The long-term consequences on health are still unclear. However, researchers are worried since microplastics have been shown to cause harm to human cells in the laboratory, and because air pollution particles have already been shown to penetrate the body and cause millions of premature deaths each year. According to the findings, in the most rigorous investigation of its type, 39 microplastic particles each at least 3 micrometers in size were detected in 11 out of 13 lung tissue samples taken from live individuals. In previous studies on cadavers and lung cancer samples, researchers discovered small threads and flakes of plastic. However, none of these investigations looked into the chemical composition of the synthetic polymers involved. Researchers utilized samples of healthy lung tissue taken from the same area where the surgical objectives were to conduct their study, which has been approved for publication by the Science of the Total Environment journal, Science of the Total Environment. The majority of the microplastics found in this new investigation were polymer kinds, with a dozen different types being identified. Polyethylene, which may be found in plastic bags and packaging, resin from paints, roads, and tires, and nylon from garments were among the substances tested. Despite the fact that these microplastics were only identified in trace levels, they were located throughout the lungs. The lower the lung tissue was, the greater the quantity of contamination on average. The size of the plastic particles was shockingly high for being so deep in the lungs. The belief has prevailed for decades that only particles with a physical diameter of less than 3 microns may pass through the alveolar portion of the lung. The alveolar duct is now described as having a diameter of around 540 microns and a length of 1410 microns in the scientific literature. A research conducted in Brazil in 2021 on autopsy samples discovered microplastics in 13 of the 20 persons examined, even though the average age of the participants was greater than that of Sadowski's study. Polyethylene, which is used in plastic bags, was one of the most frequent contaminants. The researchers came to the following conclusion. These pollutants in the respiratory system after inhalation may be associated with adverse health effects. Plastic and plant fibers, such as cotton, were discovered in more than 100 samples taken from lung cancer patients in the United States in 1998. In malignant tissue, the fibers were found in 97% of samples, whereas in non-cancerous tissue, 83% of samples were found to be contaminated. An enormous quantity of plastic garbage is being thrown into the environment, and microplastics are polluting the whole world, from the pinnacle of Mount Everest to the deepest parts of the seas. It has been shown that microplastics are present in the placentas of pregnant women and that in pregnant rats, these microplastics travel quickly via the lungs and into the hearts, brains, and other organs of the fetus.